So we got down to earth astronomy. This is going to be a 2-part video, or part 1 and a part 2 video. So yeah, we're gonna do both of them. This first one is why I hate Star Citizen. Let's see what he's got to say.
Now, there is a lot of things that I really like about Star Citizen, but there's also a number of things that I'm not so fond of. And that's what I want to talk about today. Today I want to give you 5 things that I hate about Star Citizen. And
First off, I want to know this. What kind of sorcery is this? He's moving and walking around.
And that's what I want to talk about.
But he doesn't have his hands on
the
controller.
I want to give you 5 things that I hate about Star
Hacks!
Citizen. And I should say that I've already made a
kidding,
video where I talk about 5 things that I love about the game, and I highly recommend, if you haven't watched that video, go watch that first, and then come back to this one after.
Video's a bit low.
Struggling to find the perfect gift for family, friends, or loved one? Then check out today's sponsor, Under Lucky Stars. Create your own custom star map showing the night sky at any place or any time. It's the perfect gift ideas for anniversaries, weddings, baby showers, or any other special life event. In fact, my wife and I bought one for a wedding a few years back that's now hanging over our bed. And if you go to the link starmap.d2ea.com, you will get 10% off your order. Okay, we're gonna start this countdown in no particular order with probably the biggest mood killer there is in Star Citizen, which is wipes, bugs, and instability. Anybody who spent any amount of time in the game will know that Star Citizen has its good days and has not so good days, where the game can be unstable to pretty much almost unplayable, whether it's due to poor servers, whether it's due to a large number of bugs making maybe your favorite game loop unplayable for a longer period. And then of course there's the wipes that I understand is necessary for where the game is.
Look, I'm all for the wipes. Like, I even did a video saying, hey, you know, part of the fun of playing Star Citizen is grinding for new ships. My issue as of late has been in 3 months. I think it's been 3 months, maybe 4 months. We've gone through 4 wipes. We had a wipe at 318. We had a wipe at 318.2. Well, partial wipe. Another partial wipe at 319. And then a partial wipe again at 319.1. Like I said, I'm all for wipes. I'm all for them trying to keep the servers in good running condition, take care of bugs, take care of glitches, and all the other things that go with having wipes and whatnot. But it's been a little crazy lately. And no, I haven't gone to Spectrum lately, but when people are talking about, hey, I lost all my ships, I lost all my ground vehicles with 319.1, people were saying it wasn't a wipe. You just didn't store your stuff right. And I'm not going to go down that whole rabbit hole again, but I'm sorry, when I log on and I have no ships, I have no ground vehicles, all my ammo is gone, all my medical stuff is gone, all my food that I had stored throughout the verse is gone, but my rep and my money stayed the same. To me, that screams partial wipe. And, well, thanks, CIG. I got to fly my A2 for a grand total of 4 play sessions. Thanks. Appreciate it. I'd like to touch the duplication thing. It's far worse than that, Jim. It's far worse than that. So you got the mule duplication going on. You got ship insurance, weapons for ship insurance duplications going on. You've got, I just heard of a new one with rock mining. There's a lot of stuff going on with duplication, and I know a lot of it has been around for a long time, well, at least since the advent of PES. It's just, I wonder how they're going to go about fixing it and not destroy the game further. Well, stability further. I'd really like to know how they're going to fix it.
Now, so I know that we have to live with them, and I'm not saying that they shouldn't do it, but every time a wipe is announced, I can just feel my will to go in and play the game kind of disappear, because all the effort I put into gaining rank, making money, buying ships, those kind of things is gonna disappear. I'm the type of person that really likes to go in and really like.
So here's my thing. Now, I don't know about this guy's play style, what his favorite game loop is, or anything like that. When I hear, okay, there's going to be a wipe with, let's take for example, and let's also pull the drama away from when is it going to actually come out, but 3.17.5 to 3.18, when they announced that there was going to be a full wipe and everything else that was coming along with 3.18, I didn't view it as, now a lot of my friends stopped playing, but I also viewed it as, well, this is the perfect time to really mess around without consequence. You know, what will happen if I do this thing? What will happen if I do this thing? How about I just go and pick this fight out of the blue just because? How about I go set up shop over here and say, hey, anybody out in the verse want to come and kill me? No, I didn't say it like that. I usually say, you know, whatever site is on lockdown, if you want to have access to the pads, then 50K per use, or bring donuts for discounts. Hey, Scarred. Scarred. I think I just I'm tired. Ken. Hey, Ken. How are you? Wow. Processing. Duh. Ken, how you doing? A wipe is necessary. Also, the often wipes are why I use CCG. See, at this point, this is not a shot at you, Ken. I'm at the point where I'm literally refusing to give any more money to CIG. I went through Invictus, no money spent. I'm going to go through Alien Week with no money spent. I'm probably going to go to IAE with no money spent. I don't feel that Star Citizen and CIG have garnered enough how do I word this? I feel my time hasn't been respected enough for me to give money to them. But I will not tell anybody else, don't spend your money. If you want to buy ships, you want a CCU, things like that, that's all on you. But I can't do it at this point in time. Will I eventually do it? Yes, but I really think Star Citizen has got to turn a corner here, because it's been really bad this year. And they need to turn a corner before I can safely say, hey, I will willingly give more money to the project. I agree, Ruboy. Before I hit on pause, I want to hit on Ruboy's comment here. I agree wholeheartedly. They have this massive team. I can never get clear numbers. The more I look, the more muddled it gets. I cannot find clear numbers as to who is and how many are working on Squadron 42. And I would like to see the team get bigger and have more expertise added to it. Now, this is coming from an armchair developer, but I would like to see, how do I put this? I want to see an expertise in net coding be brought on, because that seems to be a major issue with the persistent universe. Is net coding is really bad, and just some more love given to the PU. You know, all this time, all this money, all this effort goes to Squadron 42. I'd like to see, you know, we pledged for ships that we're never going to be able to use in Squadron 42. So I don't understand what the hang up is when you tell people, hey, I didn't pledge for Squadron 42. I don't buy ships for Squadron 42. I buy ships for Star Citizen. Most of the funding that is done through ship sales goes to Squadron 42, but everybody is buying those things so that they can use them in the PU. So I don't get it. Squadron 42 to me should I don't want to say an afterthought, but it should come second to the persistent universe. Manganese, welcome to the stream. Not a name I recognize, but you're right. I think they're, when it comes to coding, it's all ones and zeros. I'm sure they could create a program, like run a script saying, hey, you bought all of these, you can keep it. But, there's dupes, there's exploits. I mean, you can go on eBay right now and buy, I think it's like 50 million credits for like $8.
Play around with game mechanics, and if they have a change to that game mechanics coming up in a recently announced patch, there's not much point in going in at the beginning like dissecting and spending hours dissecting a game mechanic if I know they might change it in an upcoming patch. It's not like CIG is like posting patch notes weeks in advance before they launch.
Exactly,
so sometimes we get kind of some curveballs from CIG when it comes to updates. Okay, next on my list I have the NPCs. I actually think it's one of the things in Star Citizen that has a net negative impact on the game. NPCs should be there and when they're working.
I see that.
But right now,
good job, guys.
More time than not, they're broken. They will be just standing still in rows, if you're lucky. They might be standing on chairs, on tables, and all other weird places. I get again why they're there, I get why they need to be there at some point, but right now, they don't add anything to the game.
So I have a hot take on the NPCs. Why don't we reduce the number of NPCs so that way maybe they act like normal NPCs? Like I'd like to see that. I'd like to, maybe if we reduce the number of NPCs, they'll act like normal AI. But once again, what do I know? I'm just an armchair programmer. But maybe, just maybe, if we reduce them down, maybe they will, yeah, maybe they'll act normal. The new thing now is, you guys know at Arcourt Plaza, the new thing now is if you go to Arcourt Plaza, the big ball in the center, right underneath that is a, circular platform. Right now, all the NPCs are spawning in there.
I actually think they subtract
criticism is a good thing
by breaking that otherwise very, very well-built environment that CIG has built with Star Citizen. Sure, it would feel empty if the NPCs weren't there, but the other problem with them is if you ever try to been to an expo hall where there's a lot of NPCs in there, the frame rate is terrible. So there's no doubt about that these NPCs has a major impact on the game's performance. And I assume, since they're all gonna have to be managed by the server, that the server is also gonna spend a number of resources on maintaining all these NPCs. So for now, I wouldn't actually mind seeing if CIG just disabled all of them. Maybe not some of the shopkeepers, so we can still go and go into shops if we need to talk to them there.
You still need them. Just
but
dial them
that,
back.
Disable them. Put them back when they're working. Okay, the next one is not so much the game and more a CIG thing. And that is CIG's very, how should I put this? CIG is very time optimistic. They have a tendency to have roadmaps update quite frequently, should we put it that way? AKA, things get delayed, and things can get delayed a lot. One thing is that features can get delayed, fair enough, but also just the entire game. It's been quite a while. And the reason why I ended up putting this in the list is because it's when CIG announced something and you're like, ooh, that sounds super, super awesome.
Here's one thing I want to say about the roadmap. I was getting salty about the roadmap, and somebody pointed out to me, it may have even been in our little corner of the Tooniverse, somebody pointed out to me, hey, things change. The roadmap is not a permanent, this is how it's going to come out. This is just stuff that we're currently working on. And as with all things, it changes. And I kind of stepped back and was like, you know what? You're right. But when people, what's the word I want to use? you can't hold on to it like it's some sort of gospel about what they say on those roadmaps. And then another point that I'd like to make to those roadmaps is if they actually give a date, a quarter, a month, whatever it is, I almost always add 3 to 6 months to that, because CIG, in my year and a month of playing, they have shown me that they blow deadlines all the time. So, you know, I'd like to see that change a little bit, and I think that might come with having a few more hands on deck, or having a few more highly experienced people on the payroll. Now, here's the other problem with the payroll. People are very quick to say, well, it's a $500 million project. Yes, that's true, but that's 500 million over the course of 11 years, going on 12 years. And you got to remember, a lot of the money didn't start coming in until about 4 years ago, 3 to 4 years ago. If you go on like Glassdoor and a few of the other job websites, you'll also find that CIG devs and employees are among some of the lowest paid in the industry. So a lot of these people, yeah, I think it's probably closer to $1 billion in all honesty, with outside investors and whatnot, because they don't tell us everything. But I would like to see, this is mostly a love project for a lot of the devs, but I'd like to see more experts come in, especially when it comes to net coding. That's one of my big hangups right now.
I'm really looking forward to this, because when it's there, it will likely be pretty good. But you also know that it could be years before we see something like that. For instance, when they announce new ships, if they're larger ships, if they're just in a gray box phase, we know it could be years, and you were just imagining what the things will do to the game when they come out, but we also know that it could be years. It's been the same. There's been this talk about like Pyro is just around the corner, just around the corner, just around the corner, and we're still waiting for Pyro. So these constant things getting pushed and delayed, it kind of gets a little old. Another like more game design thing that I'm not a big fan of is the way the CIG has made this quantum travel. I know it's not faster than light travel, but the way they've made quantum, where you're jumping from beacon to beacon, I actually would like if you were able to quantum more freely, so we could control our ships, turn it, and stuff like that. I really like the approach that Frontier took in Elite with their faster than light travel. That kind of makes more sense to me, and I think it would also...
Jim, I make a majority of my money doing beacons and bunkers. Bunkers, a lot of people will tell you loot everything. I only loot a couple of specific things. You know, maybe an armor or helmet that I think it looks cool. But one of the things I will tell you right now that I take each and every time is those med guns. And those med guns stack, so you can get quite a few of them in your backpack. Big money right there. They're 700 a pop. You bunker run for, like, let's say for like a week, and then say Saturday morning, you're waiting for your kids to finish up chores so you can go do whatever errands or whatever fun thing you have planned for the day. And while they're doing that, you just sit there and click sell a couple of times, and you can make yourself 200, 300, 400,000 off of just the med guns. So that's kind of what I do. And then beacons, if you can get a group of guys together, you can do those high threat beacons for 200 to it's like 200 to 250k, and with 2 or 3 friends, you're still making anywhere between 80 to 100k for those beacons. Those are amazing. I love bunkers. I'm honestly more terrified of cargo running than I am of bunkers.
Add a lot to the exploration side of the game, being able to more easily move around planets and get to spots that are not necessarily close by.
Don't do the cave missions as I'm not taking a shot at you, the manganese, but don't do caves unless you bring some flares with you, and even bring a couple in your backpack. And you can kind of drop them on your way, kind of figure out where you've been and how to get back out. They last for a very long time. But yeah. I've like I've never been pirated. I just don't I think you'll get 3 times more 30Ks in a year than you will run into a single pirate group.
A quantum marker. You probably also tried this a number of times. You get a mission. The mission marker is like 200 kilometers from the nearest quantum marker.
It's also not something I recommend for a new player.
The mission doesn't have its own quantum marker, so you jump there, and now you have to fly 200 kilometers with your normal engines, which is going to take, let's say, 5 minutes. And it's just not great gameplay. Just flying in a straight line for 5 minutes, then you spend 30 seconds killing an NPC, and then the mission is over. So I would really like to see if we could get more like free fly around quantum travel. I think that would add a lot to the game. Now, the final thing on my list is the whole financing.
The free fly around quantum travel, they're kind of doing that with the quantum boost once they introduce master modes, but who knows if CIG is going to change their mind on that as well. But last year, was it last year when they were showing? Oh, I agree, Skeet, I agree. I think it was last year at SitCon they were showing master modes off, or maybe it was somewhere around there, and they showed video of it, and they had the quantum boost. You're still not going to be able to turn and whatnot, but you're going to be able to boost to some random places.
Model around Star Citizen. There are things about it that I'm okay and that I think is fine. Might even see like. There's definitely also a lot of things about the way that they're financing the game that I don't like. So it started out with a Kickstarter, fine. After that, they are selling game packs for, was it 40 or 45, or how much they're charging right now? To me,
45.
Fine. Okay, that's okay. I mean, if we go to Steam and see what they're charging for big games these days, that seems like a fair price. Okay, I can live with that. I will even say that the optional subscription service is fine too, because it is optional. It's something you can choose to go and do, and you get some extra stuff that might have value to some people, and not to others. What I don't like about the financing of Star Citizen is the price on some of the ships, or most of the ships, to be honest. There are very few ships in the pledge store that I think has a fair price for what you get. I
agree with that.
What CIG is trying to do. I know that they are trying to prevent people from buying too many ships, because they don't want a situation where when the game comes out, everybody just has all the ships because they've been selling them cheaply.
There's going to be people that have that.
So they want to keep the volume of ships low, but that also means that they need a high price per ship. So I get what they're doing. I just think it's sometimes it sends a greedy vibe. If you ask me, that you look and say, okay.
I mean, let's be honest. Do a lot of you guys think that $280 for a Sentinel is a fair price? And you can only buy it once a year, that I'm aware of. You can only buy it once a year. Do you think that Akani Andromeda at 220 bucks is a fair price? Prospector at $220 is a fair price. A Vulture at $175, a fair price. My favorite, and I bash on this thing all the time, a Carrack for $1,000, and really the only advantage it gives you over any other ship is the fact that it has a med bed. Same with the 890. I think that a lot of the ship prices are very, very unfair. I think it's very unfair, and we're gonna, the CIG is releasing no, not at IAE, only at Invictus. What was I going to jump on? I got sidetracked there for a second. Oh, the Spirit line. The Spirit line is supposed to be a competitor to the... It's supposed to be the competitors to other starter ships like the Cutlass Black, the Freelancer. If memory serves me correct, the E1 is the cheapest of the two, and I think it's sitting at like 130, 140. The C1 is 150-ish, and the A1 is 175, and we know that it's going to jump up another $25 once it actually comes out of production and goes flyable. So it's not really a competitive. It's really not competitive to the other starter ships, in my opinion. Hey, welcome, Simi. I think it's a double-edged sword, in my opinion, Simi, because it keeps people from buying it, but at the same time, I think a lot of the prices are unjustified for the capabilities that they are.
Okay, I can get one spaceship for hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And that might not even be a big spaceship, it might even be a medium-sized ship. It sends a greedy vibe, and I think that also has contributed a lot to some of the negativity we see around Star Citizen. The fact that these ships are so heavily priced. While, again, as I said, I understand why CIG is doing it, I just don't necessarily agree with their way that they've decided to price their ships. But now it's your turn. Comment section below, what is your most and least favorite part about Star Citizen? Post it below. And again, if you haven't watched that, 5 things that I love about Star Citizen, go watch that, because there's some cool stuff in there too.
We're gonna watch that.
If you want more Star Citizen content, subscribe. That is for free. Thanks a lot for watching, and until next time.
It wasn't that bad. I thought he had some pretty reasonable takes. The ship thing, like I said, it's a double-edged sword. I understand why CIG does it. There's like 2 reasons why CIG does it. They limit the amount of ships people buy, and they need to fund their game. But on the other hand, in my opinion, so I guess it's a triple-edged sword, really. But on the other hand, I look at that and I go, I don't think some of these ships are worth the amount of money that they're charging for. I just don't. So we're going to watch the part 2, I guess, to his video, and it's called Why I Love Star Citizen.
A while back, I did 2 videos where I talked about 5 things I loved and hated about Elite Dangerous.
Agreed,
and now
Marcus.
The turn has come to Star
this is gonna
Citizen,
make me sick.
where we're going to go over 5 things that I both love and hate about the game.
Yeah.
And in this video, we got talk
it's
about 5 things. Control of your ship using a tablet or a phone. You can try out some of the free pre-made shots, or you can also make your own custom shot. So gone are the days where you have no more. Also supports other games for free. Use the offer code DTEA to get 5% off any purchase.
And
we're gonna start the countdown of the 5 things that I love in Star Citizen with the graphics. There can be no doubt about that. Star Citizen is one of the prettiest games out there. Sure, it is difficult to run, but my god, it is pretty. I often find myself when I'm flying into landing zones and it just happens to be at a sunrise or at dawn, I just, stop for a second and just enjoy the view, because there is so many amazing views to have in this game, and I've had multiple play sessions where I've done nothing but just fly around and enjoy the different biomes and enjoy the different weather patterns and all that. It's just such a beautiful game, and with every update, CIG adds new things for us to go and take a look at, and new amazing vistas to go and enjoy.
Well, that'd be a
the second thing on my things I love about Star Citizen list is that almost perfect connection there is between the playing on foot and playing with spaceships. It's very clear that these 2 things have been thought of to purposely work together. It's the small things that I in the beginning thought would be annoying, having to run in and out of the ship.
But it's still a pretty
I kind of
game
enjoy
to look
it.
at.
I actually think it adds a lot to the feeling that you not just land and then boop, you're inside the station. You can go, you can see your cargo in your cargo hold, you can grab it with a tractor beam, you can move the cargo around, and that extra connection between ship-based and on-foot gameplay and it just makes it such a unique gaming experience. And it just adds just to something as simple as trading. It just adds a lot that you walk through the cargo hold and you see all these boxes just lined up everywhere. Instead of it just being like a number on the screen saying there's 200 and whatever boxes in your cargo hold and you can't see them. Now the next thing is actually not that much about the game itself, but more about CIG themselves. Now you can critique CIG a lot, and a lot of it would be fair. I must admit that compared to what I've seen in other places, they do communicate really, really well. They are really good at showcasing not just about that. What they're doing, not trying to they're trying to hide information from the community, but they want to show what they're doing, but they also want to show all the behind the scenes stuff that we normally don't see. Usually you would see if they add a new feature.
I agree, but I also disagree. I mean, they sometimes do a good job of communicating, but then there's other times where they don't communicate anything at all. That, once again, it's my opinion, not fact, not truth. I'm not going to say any of that. That sometimes on important things they just don't tell us anything, and we're kind of just left there hanging. Like one thing I'd like to point out is we've been wondering where the hell they are with server meshing. It would be nice to get an update on server meshing, but we haven't heard anything since that ISC that they did a roundtable on. That was supposed to be a five-parter. It was supposed to be a five-parter. They did part 1 and it's not been picked up since. So I'd like to know what the hell is going on with that. Marcus brings up a good point. They communicated out to us that they would give us back ships from 318 when they wiped, but, well, those ships haven't come back.
They would showcase that new feature. And what they also do is they showcase all the behind the scenes tool that we as players are never going to see or never going to play with, but there's still time they've spent building that's going to help them moving forward. And I think it's really cool. From a tech nerd's perspective, I think it's super cool when they do these inside Star Citizens, where they get some of the developers in and they show us, see, we made this tool and we now do ta-da, and it generated a river and we can sit and alter it. I think that's super cool to see. The next up on my list is planet biomes, and it's kind of related to the graphics, maybe, but I still thought it was big enough to have its own point on the list here. Planets,
because you either get snow, desert, or a little bit of fauna and trees, and that's about it. I think there needs to be an expansion of biomes, but I'd rather put that to the side for a more stable netcode than to have more pretty things to look at.
Are not just the same all over the place, right? If you take Microtech as a really good example, where you have areas that is frozen wastelands, frozen hills and mountains, and everything is cold, and you move closer to the equator and it turns into this more lush tundra kind of feel with pine trees, and there's mountain rivers with glacial water and stuff like that coming down from the mountains, and just means that even though Star Citizen takes place in a relatively small star system with a limited number of bodies in it for us to explore, because the biomes change as much as they do, it just means that there is a lot more on the planets to explore. You can spend hours exploring each planet if you wish to do so. And if you haven't done it yet, I actually recommend you sometimes just try to get a fast ship and go for a ride around some of the planets or moons. And there is, but the last one on my list here might be a bit controversial, as it has also added some negative things to the game. But that is CRG's willingness to push the boundaries of what you're going to be able to do with a computer game. It's very clear that okay. My hot take on this is they are pushing the boundaries, but at this point, games are starting to catch up. Starfield, case in point. Starfield is going to be doing pretty much you can bounty hunt with it too.
You could probably, depending on pilot skill, you can probably get to MRTs and HRTs pretty easily. The Titan does have a size 4 gun on it. The only disadvantage it has versus fighters, well, the light fighter category, is the fact that it's a bit bigger. You can do bunkers. You can do trying to think of other things that you can do with that. You can do beacons. You can do, you know, the low and the moderate threats fairly easily in that. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of ways, and then if you wanted to as well, you could also take you could take that Titan, do your bounties, do your bunkers, do your beacons, and get up to, I think it's about 70K, and you can rent a prospector, or excuse me, rent a Cuddy Black and a rock, and you will very easily, with watching a couple of YouTube videos, you'll very easily in 2-3 runs make yourself about 100 to 200K very, very quickly. You can upgrade the shields, but it's still, once you get those shields down, like all the light fighters, once you take a few hits, it's in real big trouble. And congrats, Marcus. For real, congrats. The it can't take many hits, and it's a lot bigger. It's almost like medium ship size to almost large ship size, or well, fighter category. And it does not do well when it starts getting popped in the tail, because then you lose the wings and whatnot. And once you lose those wings, it hurts bad. But as I was saying, they're pushing the envelope, but at the same time, they're not pushing it fast enough or hard enough, because other games are starting to catch up. They really need server meshing to be completed for me to say that they can turn a corner and really start to make a game that will end up transcending all games and become something that, you know, everything is measured up against. But they have to turn the corner on server meshing. They have to turn the corner on server meshing, and they have to turn the corner on content, because if they don't have those two things, then they're real big trouble.
If they come up with an idea, if there's a request from the community that it would be really cool if we could do something CIG, if the tools doesn't exist yet, the CIG is going to find a way to do it. The reason I think this might be a bit of a controversial point is because this, of course, is also one of the reasons why that we are now many years over deadline for when this game was supposed to be launched, and yet we are still stuck in this perpetual alpha state, because that scope keeps changing, they keep adding more stuff, they keep want to push into new areas. I kind of think it's interesting to follow, but I can also see from a let's get this game launched perspective that it doesn't help with those deadlines at all. Now that was my list of things that I like about Star Citizen. I would love to know what's your favorite thing about the game in the comment section below. And also, remember to stick around for the upcoming 5 things I hate about the game.
Yeah, we
can take a look at the downsides and the other.
So once again, his opinions they're good. They're pretty good opinions. They're fair points on Star Citizen. I think one of my favorite thing ever about Star Citizen, it's not the ships, it's not it's not the missions, it's not the vehicles, it's the space sandbox that lets me do a whole bunch of stuff with friends. And I think the friends part is the best aspect of this game. Friends take this game to a whole nother level. When I see my friends around, like when my friends list is filled up and it's people that I routinely game with, I can't wait to get into the game and see what my buddies are up to, or see what kind of shenanigans we can get ourselves into. When you get a group of 2, 3, 4, 5 guys, there's never a dull moment in Star Citizen. There's either something funny happening or something crazy that you never expected to happen. I agree, Marcus. Yeah. exploration needs to get into the game, but I don't think we're going to see that until we get 2 or 3 systems online, and I mean star systems, not game systems or in-game systems. So yeah, it was okay. It was okay.